Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So coming to you guys with a follow-up here on my 2018 Harley-Davidson Heritage 114. This video is specific to the Rinehart 2-in-1s that I just put on here. That was actually sponsored by John Maxwell. Go check out John Maxwell's website. I'll link it in the description down below. This Rinehart 2-in-1 is available. This is the header pipe. It's the full exhaust system. Now I made this a two-part series because while the first part was the installation, just going through first impressions, but part two is going to be talking about more in depth on the Dynojet Power Vision and the target tune with the wideband O2 sensors. Now I am not a tuner by no means. What I am is just a regular guy who was able to install this in my garage. The channel name, Gears and Gadgets, it's exactly what it means. I mean, I am a gearhead, but I also enjoy the gadgetry side of things. I'm not an expert at it, but I'm very interested in tinkering with those things. So I reached out to Dynojet quite a while ago actually and asked for those widebands. They sent them out to me, and I tried to actually have the OEM header pipe welded on with the new bung locations. It just did not fit. The locations for the wideband sensors, which are larger than the OEM narrow bands, they pretty much only fit in the OEM location. So I just decided to scrap having those things welded and trying to continually modifying the OEM headers. Now, after I installed the Rinehart 2-in-1s, I did go through and wire up the target tune kit. Wiring that up was actually pretty easy. It was time consuming. So just getting all your wires run and making sure everything is tucked up to the frame nice and neat, it really wasn't difficult by no means. I think that anybody could figure it out for the most part. Where I got tripped up was not in the installation of the widebands themselves. Again, that was pretty straightforward, was flashing the map to the ECU. There was a part of me that just thought that once I had it all plugged in, that the Dynojet Power Vision would recognize it and enable target tune. It did not. So what I did was I went to the Dynojet website. I downloaded the map for the Rinehart 2-in-1s. They already had a base map in there for this setup, and I flashed it to the ECU and took it for a ride. Right away, I noticed that the check engine light was on, and I thought maybe I just needed to ride it for a little bit and get the Dynojet Power Vision to recognize target tune was enabled. So I took it for maybe a 10-mile ride, cycled through the ignition cycles a couple times. It just was not going away. As I was sitting on the side of the road, I pulled up a Dynojet PDF that gave you actually a really good explanation of how to know whether target tune is working or not. If you start riding and those numbers just stay the same, it tells you target tune isn't working. I noticed right away it was not working. So I came back to the house and I started looking a little bit further into it on the computer side. So I hooked my Dynojet Power Vision up to their software and just started going through some of the settings. It was really simple. Once you plugged this thing in and went through some of the settings, I was able to notice that the O2 sensor lambda wideband range, it tells you right in the description box what to set it to for target tune. I also changed 6 settings on the closed loop settings. And again, every one of those explanations in the description box was there telling you what to change it to activate target tune. I did all of that, saved it to the Power Vision, reflashed the ECU. Lo and behold, it worked just fine. So the check engine light went away, the wideband started to work. Right away I could see it was making those changes to get it back to stoic. So with that, I was able to take it out for a ride and it worked out great. So after I did that, I had my Vegas trip that I took and I put 650 miles round trip with this whole configuration, not a single check engine light, everything ran absolutely flawlessly. I thought it was amazing. One problem I did have with these Rinehart 2-in-1, the heat shield was barely contacting the brake pedal, the rear brake pedal. Now I did not even notice that brake was dragging at all until I got to Vegas and I was on my way to the event. No big deal, I just made a bush fix there in Vegas. I took a ratchet. So I just put a little indentation in that exhaust shield to get it to clear, and now the brake pedal has been fine ever since. So let's go ahead and hop on the bike, go for a ride, and I'll tell you guys what I really think about this whole setup with the full exhaust kit, with the Dynojet Power Vision and the Target Tune.
The off-the-line torque is immediately noticeable. Between the 2-into-1s and the Widebands and having everything, well, Target Tune, having everything all dialed in and calibrated with that Target Tune is a completely different bike. The power that this has today is just enough to where it might get sketchy if you throw a little more at it. I have had with this setup the rear tire kind of kick out on a couple occasions off of just banging off red lights, but it hasn't been anything that's scared me. I think if you threw more power at it, the sketchy level would go up significantly. So in terms of, well, the whole reason why I bought this motorcycle in particular was power to weight ratio. I felt like the Heritage man, this thing is just, it is alive. But I thought the power to weight ratio of the Heritage in terms of lightweight touring and you're not getting into the heavier touring frame bikes, and having this 114 was kind of like a Swiss Army knife type motorcycle where it could do everything well, maybe nothing great. But now that I've got a little more life out of this thing with these Rineharts, I mean, it sounds gnarly. You're getting so much more torque. It's just a lot more fun. I mean, noticeable fun, banging this thing around town red light to red light. Now, a lot of people, and if you read online, in terms of 2-into-1s, it'll tell you that it'll give you that power down low, and I totally agree with that. One thing they do say is you will actually lose the power on the high end. But with this Heritage, this is a motorcycle, again, that is, in my opinion, a Swiss Army knife bike. But I don't need top end speed. Once I'm up over 80 to 100 miles an hour, I'm happy there. As a matter of fact, I don't really get up to those speeds. Well, I do cruise around 80 quite frequently. But the top end speeds, you know, this isn't a street bike, or, you know, I'm not trying to street Rossi around town. So for all those guys out there on their sport bikes that, you know, want to do 200 miles an hour, more power to you. But this is something that I could hop on this bike, just blast red light to red light on my way to work, and then also hop on the bike and go on a, you know, 5-day, 2,500 mile round trip journey. You're not going to do that on your sport bikes. So this whole setup it's awesome. As you can see here, it's reading out now. You can see that it's making the adjustments on the front CLI, AFF, and the rear as well. And that tells you that the Target Tune is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So is this setup worth it would be the real million-dollar question, I suppose. And in my opinion, I think that once you go down this path, that the Target Tune is absolutely worth it. It is a little bit intimidating. I do want to thank Kevin Baxter for helping me understand it a little bit better, and you can check his channel out for a little more information in terms of tuning. Also, John Maxwell for the hookup on the pipes. John is awesome. Check out his channel, go to his website. You can order these Rinehart 2-into-1s for your Softail. He's got some other stuff up on his site as well. And also a big thank you to Dynojet for kind of making this all possible from the very beginning and being one of my first sponsors on this channel in terms of motorcycle content. So I am very grateful for that as well. With you guys checking these videos out, you are what makes all of this nonsense possible. So I thank you for that. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.